The Suns' free agency plans have been revealed as we got an update saying that the Suns would like to prioritize and bring back Royce O'Neal, would like to look at Josh Okogie and bring him back on his player option, and also look at the possibility of bringing Bol back as well. Could these be the right moves for the Phoenix Suns? Are they smart ones? And what other ones do they need to make around the edges to make this team a contender? We'll be diving into all of that and more on this episode of Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. Without further ado, if you guys want to make sure you stay up to date on everything revolving around this team, 80% of you guys are not subscribed, and we'd appreciate it if you guys hit that subscribe button, as this is the place for daily centralized Suns news, especially with the draft coming up tomorrow. We'll have a bunch of stuff coming out. You want to make sure you stay up to date. Without further ado, though, let's dive into the topic at hand. And like I mentioned, the Suns' plans are revealed, ladies and gentlemen. That is right for free agency. We want to look at this tweet from Gambo. He can see and tell us, obviously, he's a Suns insider, guy who breaks down a majority of the Suns news for us. If you don't know who he is, he says that the Suns' offseason priority is to bring back Royce O'Neal, but they also are hopeful that Josh Okogie picks up his player option, and they would like to bring back Bol, who is an unrestricted free agent. Now, as we all know, the Suns are strapped to death in this salary cap here. We all know this. It is a known factor, but obviously, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker all strapped up to $50 million. This team is a second apron one with $209 million committed already into the salary, and the only way to kind of drop off and get under that is to move off of Yusuf Nurkic's contract. But even if they do that, with the extension that they will have to give Royce O'Neal in free agency, that will definitely put them over the limit and definitely make things a little bit harder. When looking at the other two names mentioned as well, Bol, the young forward who has had some spots to look bright here, is an unrestricted free agent. And like we mentioned, Josh Okogie has that player option that he can pick up to come back on this squad. If you guys missed the other videos, Eric Gordon most likely gone, declining his player option, looking for possibly a reunion in Houston with the Rockets, and Drew Eubanks already declined his player option, and he will not be returning to this Phoenix Suns roster as well. So with the Suns looking for Okogie to come back and already having Damian Lee accept his player option, that could be possibly two more bodies on this team and possible two more rotational pieces to throw alongside the stars and this big three to push for a championship. But that gets into the next part of the video, which kind of breaks down what do we like and what do we dislike from hearing these moves coming out of, kind of the Suns insiders. So let's dive and let's look at that. So, guys, we're going to dive in and do exactly that. First, we're going to look at Royce O'Neal. Now, Royce O'Neal has averaged 7.7 per game, 4.8 rebounds, and 2.8 assists on 39% shooting from the field and 37% shooting from three this season. A little low on the shooting percentages from Royce O'Neal, but he's a solid 3-and-D wing who's someone I think could be a heavy contributor for this Suns squad, especially if he gets into the rhythm. He was a late acquisition at the deadline, and even though we didn't have the best playoffs, I think that if you put him in that forward spot alongside Kevin Durant and putting him in as natural 4, we have a solid 3-and-D wing who can help us out off the bench, regardless if he's a 6-man some nights, switching in with Grayson Allen, or if he's a guy that's going to play some solid defense and helps win some games with his physicality at the wing position. I ultimately do think that bringing back a guy like Royce O'Neal is a smart decision by the Phoenix Suns, especially if you're going to trade 5 people last year for one. Might as well bring him back. And he was a guy that I was looking for the Suns to bring in for the last couple seasons. When you look at Josh Okogie, another scrappy defender, a guy who is a little bit of a dive in the rough, similar to like a Josh Hart, similar type play style, but 4 points, 2.6 rebounds, 1.5, 1.1 assists, 8.8 steals, 0.4 blocks on 41% shooting from the field and 30% from three. One thing with Josh Okogie is I would like his offensive shot to get a little bit better, but his defensive specialties and his defensive prowess ultimately unlocks him and allows him to be a key contributor for this Suns squad. And then ultimately, when looking at the last person here in Bol, he obviously is averaging 5.2 points, 3.2 rebounds, and had a foul per game, shooting around 61% from the field and 42% from three. He ultimately can be a stretch big, but I think he'd be better as a nice athletic wing, maybe even used as a bit of a rim protector as he is 7'3", and that is something desperately that the Suns would like to add. But ultimately, when looking at these three guys, I think they are all smart decisions by the Phoenix Suns. we want to look right back at oops, sorry. If we want to look right back at the salary cap here, excuse me, sorry, hit the wrong button. But as you guys can see, obviously, Kevin Durant, Beal, Booker already strapped up. We want to extend Royce O'Neal to have him locked up long term. And then if the Suns look to make any moves maybe around the edges, possibly look to deal a guy in Yusuf Nurkic on draft day, attached with a pick, possibly look to move a guy off in Nazir Little, attached with a pick. Those give me moves to bring in either additional assets or just additional cap space to allow the Suns to have some more flexibility in free agency to bring some other names. But ultimately, having Josh Okogie as a nice defensive prowess player, having a guy in Bol who is a young, inexperienced big who really needs that development, needs that, time. And if he is given that time, I think could be a solid front court piece, front court addition, regardless if he's playing at the wing or in that front court spot at 7-3 position. I think he is solid. He can stretch out to hit the three-pointer. He can be a key rim protector off the bench. And then a guy in Royce O'Neal, 3 and D wing, ultimately can be a starter for you, can finish out games. If he's having a trouble shooting night, throw Grayson Allen in. If he's having a bad defensive night, you could throw in Kevin Durant and run a bigger lineup. Ultimately, the flexibility, the amount of possibilities are endless with bringing back these three guys. But with bringing back these three guys and already having some guys under roster and under construction, it is going to be difficult for now the Suns to get some extra and additional roster spots. So if we do want to look, sorry, hitting the wrong button again, but if we do want to look, we can see here that we could see here that the Suns obviously are having guys like Eric Gordon decline, a guy in Drew Eubanks decline. Obviously, Damian Lee is coming back, but with those guys declining, it allows for two possible roster spots for the Suns. Also depends on will the Suns be looking to move off of some of these young guys like David Roddy, or with Thaddeus Young going to come back? Is Isaiah Thomas going to come back? Those guys were kind of, some veteran minimum guys at the end of the roster who didn't really get a key rotation piece or, some key plays to identify themselves in this offense or defense. Ultimately, I think having those guys, off this team would be not the bet would be all right, but having to go out and get after some other, guys in free agency, possibly a Kyle Lowry, possibly a guy in, Robert Covington, possibly a center in Andre Drummond. Those are all three names that I would like as veteran, even though they are a little bit older pieces that I think could come in and help out this Suns squad for next season. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. How do you guys feel about these Suns free agency plans? Because obviously it is some major news. Royce O'Neal obviously going to be coming back. Bol trying to get him back. Josh Okogie trying to get him back. Those are three key pieces I think the Suns should be going after, should be trying to retain, and should trying to be adding to this big three to help push for a championship to bring to Phoenix. Like I said, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. How are you guys feeling about this Suns team? The draft is tomorrow. We'll have some updates revolving around that from CJ and myself. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Suns Digest. We really do appreciate it. We're so close to our goal of 1,000 subscribers. So if you enjoyed the video, enjoyed the content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay up to date as we'll be providing that daily content for you guys, especially now with everything getting full swing into motion with the offseason really starting to ramp up. Once again, I'm Bruce Velez. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Suns Digest, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, have a great rest of your day, and go Phoenix Suns.